Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Imagine walking along a beautiful coastline, the sun warming your face, and the waves gently lapping at the shore. But this isn't just any beach. The sand beneath your feet, sparkling in the light, isn't made of rock and shell ground down over millennia. It's made of bottles. Beer bottles, wine bottles, pickle jars, all crushed and transformed into a soft, safe sand that is actively protecting this very coastline from washing away. It sounds like science fiction, but it's a very real and incredibly promising solution to one of the biggest environmental challenges we face. Our planet's coastlines, the vital intersection of land and sea, are under constant attack. Erosion, powered up by climate change and rising sea levels, is eating away at our shores. For decades, our answer has been to fight back with brute force, building massive concrete seawalls or dredging up tons of sand from the ocean floor to pump onto beaches. These methods are not only fantastically expensive, but they're also incredibly damaging to the environment. But what if the answer wasn't out at sea, but in our recycling bins? Today, we're exploring how recycled glass, a mundane waste product, is being turned into a powerful guardian for our invaluable coastlines. The idea is as simple as it is brilliant. By taking waste glass, pulverizing it, and processing it, we can create a material called glass sand or cullet. This engineered sand has properties remarkably similar to natural sand, and it's being used for everything from rebuilding eroded beaches to constructing resilient coastal defenses. It's a new life for a material that would otherwise sit in a landfill for 1,000 years. So let's delve into the science behind the sparkle. The first question most people have is about safety. We're all taught to be careful of broken glass on the beach, but the recycled glass used in coastal engineering is a completely different animal. It goes through a meticulous process of crushing, pulverizing, and often tumbling. This eliminates all the sharp edges, resulting in a product that's perfectly safe to handle, walk on, and even build sandcastles with. Engineers can even control the process to create specific sizes and shapes for different needs. But why is glass so perfect for this job? It comes down to its fundamental chemistry and physics. Glass is primarily made of silicon dioxide, or silicon oxide. This is the exact same mineral that makes up the vast majority of sand on most of the world's beaches. Because they share the same basic ingredient, glass sand behaves almost identically to natural sand when it's hit by waves, currents, and wind. But in some ways, it's even better. Extensive research has been done on the geotechnical properties of recycled glass cullet. One of the key factors is the shape of the grains. While natural sand grains are weathered and rounded by time and tide, glass sand particles can be made to be more angular. Think of the difference between trying to stack a pile of marbles versus a pile of small, irregular Lego bricks. The angular Lego bricks interlock, creating a much more stable structure. The same thing happens with glass sand. This increased angularity leads to better interlocking between particles, making the entire beach more stable and less likely to be washed away. Controlled lab experiments have backed this up in a big way. In one study that simulated wave action, a beach nourished with crushed glass experienced only 14% erosion. A similar beach, replenished with standard sand, dredged from offshore, lost 26% of its material. That's a huge difference. The glass beach was almost twice as stable. Furthermore, glass sand seems to be better at absorbing wave energy. It has a slightly lower wave reflection coefficient than natural sand, meaning it soaks up more of the ocean's power instead of just bouncing it back. This is critical for reducing the erosive force of the sea. It also has excellent permeability, similar to medium sand or gravel. This allows water to drain through it effectively, which is not only good for helping plants grow in dune restoration projects, but it also helps prevent the ground from turning to liquid during something like an earthquake. Of course, whenever we introduce a new material into the marine environment, the most important question is it safe for the ecosystem? Extensive testing has given a clear answer. Yes, recycled glass cullet is biologically benign. Scientists have monitored water chemistry in areas with glass sand, checking things like temperature, pH, dissolved oxygen, and nutrient levels. They found no significant negative changes compared to areas with natural sand. There have been concerns about heavy metals, which are sometimes used as coloring agents in glass, leaching into the water. However, multiple studies have confirmed that these elements are present in tiny amounts, well below regulatory limits, and that any leaching is minimal to non-existent. One study found that while a very small amount of chromium could leach from green glass, the concentration was so low it would be instantly diluted to undetectable levels in a real-world ocean environment. And what about the animals and plants? Research on marine invertebrates shows that they readily colonize and live in glass-sand mixtures. Tiny microfauna have been observed moving freely between the grains without any harm. In fact, the slightly rougher surface of the glass particles might even provide a better substrate for some organisms to attach to. It's also a great medium for growing coastal vegetation, a vital part of a healthy dune system. Studies have shown that dune-stabilizing plants thrive in glass sand, with some research even suggesting that certain species grow better in it than in native sand, possibly because the angular particles help retain moisture. Even for highly sensitive species like sea turtles, the news is good. Research has confirmed that a nest built in recycled glass sand has comparable temperature, moisture, and gas exchange properties to a nest in natural sand. It doesn't interfere with the development of the embryos. So with the science and safety established, how exactly are we using this amazing material? The applications are incredibly versatile. The most direct use is beach nourishment. As our beaches erode, we spend huge sums dredging sand from offshore. This is a temporary fix that often has to be repeated every few years, and it wreaks havoc on the offshore marine ecosystems it's scraped from. Recycled glass sand offers a sustainable, longer-lasting, and often more effective alternative. Projects can be designed to perfectly match the color and grain size of the native beach, so you wouldn't even know the difference visually. But beyond just dumping new sand on a beach, recycled glass can be integrated into coastal defense structures. It can be used as a replacement for sand and gravel in concrete. This green concrete can be used to build seawalls, revetments, and breakwaters. Using crushed glass can improve the workability of the concrete, and when it's ground into a fine powder, it can act as something called a pozzolan. This enhances the concrete's durability and makes it more resistant to the corrosive chemical attacks from saltwater. This not only reduces the need to mine virgin sand and gravel, but also lowers the carbon footprint of the construction project. A more nature-based approach involves creating living shorelines. Instead of a hard wall, these projects use natural habitats to stabilize the coast. Recycled glass sand is perfect for this. It can be used to create a stable base for planting native marsh grasses. In some projects, glass sand is placed in biodegradable bags, which are stacked to form a low wall. This wall protects new plantings from wave action. As the plants grow, their roots further stabilize the shoreline, creating a resilient, ecologically vibrant habitat that acts as a natural buffer against storm surges. Recycled glass can also be found in geotextiles, which are engineered fabrics used to stabilize soil. Glass fibers can be woven in to enhance their strength, and larger pieces of recycled glass aggregate can be used to protect the foundations of bridges and offshore wind turbines from being eroded by currents. There's even potential for creating artificial reefs. Instead of just dumping old bottles, which is not a good idea, more sophisticated methods involve embedding glass bottles into concrete structures. This creates new complex habitats for coral, fish, and other marine life to colonize. This isn't just a theory. It's happening right now. Pioneers around the world are putting glass to work. Perhaps the most famous example is in Louisiana, where the coastline is disappearing at one of the fastest rates on Earth. A partnership between a New Orleans glass recycling company called Glass Half Full and researchers at Tulane University's ReCoast project is leading the charge. Glass Half Full was started in 2020 by two Tulane graduates frustrated by the lack of glass recycling in their city. It grew from a backyard project into a major operation that now turns hundreds of thousands of pounds of glass into sand and gravel every month, with a primary focus on coastal restoration. They've conducted extensive research showing the material is non-toxic and can successfully grow native marsh grasses and willow trees. They've already undertaken several restoration projects, like creating an artificial island in Bayou Bienvenue, a swamp devastated by saltwater intrusion. They used a mix of their glass sand and river sediment to build it. In another project, they used 20,000 pounds of glass sand packed into burlap sacks to repair damage from Hurricane Ida and protect new plantings at a national wildlife refuge. This idea has been explored elsewhere too. Florida was looking into it back in the 90s and early 2000s. Studies confirmed it was feasible and geologically compatible, and public surveys showed people were overwhelmingly supportive. But the project stalled, mainly because there wasn't a local facility to produce the glass sand in the quantities needed at a competitive price. This highlights a key challenge: the economics. The initial cost of collecting, transporting, and processing glass can sometimes be higher than just dredging sand. However, the economic equation is starting to change. Natural sand is becoming scarcer and more expensive to extract. The environmental cost of dredging is enormous. Using locally sourced recycled glass can cut down on transportation costs and create a true circular economy, turning a waste product that cities have to pay to get rid of into a valuable resource. It creates local jobs in recycling and coastal management. A life cycle analysis for a potential project in Puerto Rico showed that while the upfront cost of using glass was higher, the long-term ecological and public health benefits from diverting tons of glass from landfills were significant. And the environmental benefits are undeniable. Glass can sit in a landfill for 1,000 years without breaking down. In the United States alone, millions of tons of glass are thrown away each year. Using it to protect our coasts directly reduces this massive waste stream. It also conserves natural sand, which, after water, is the most used resource on the entire planet. The global demand for sand is so immense that its over-extraction is causing environmental devastation. Using recycled glass takes pressure off this finite resource. Finally, it has a lower carbon footprint. Making new glass from raw materials is incredibly energy-intensive. Recycling glass uses far less energy. When that recycled glass is then used in place of traditional construction materials, the carbon savings add up even more. Of course, there are still hurdles. We need more localized recycling and processing infrastructure to make it cost-effective everywhere. We need clear regulatory frameworks, and we need continued public education to address any lingering concerns about safety or aesthetics. But the future of engineering with waste glass is incredibly bright. The transformation of a discarded bottle into a guardian of our coastlines is a powerful testament to human ingenuity. By embracing this innovative approach, we can not only protect our precious coastal ecosystems, but also create a more resilient, sustainable, and circular economy. The clear choice for a healthier planet might just be a beach made of glass.